Which one? The Book of V?
Yeah.
It was funny enough. An email was supposed to go out that we were canceling it. It never went out, so it's next Thursday at noon.
Oh, it's prom.
Well, that's why I picked the book.
No, that's great. You know why?
Why?
Because I work for people that don't even work on prom.
Oh. Yeah. I can't do it, and I got on Thursday, so I'm glad somebody has. It's Purim. I can do whatever I want.
Shabbat Shalom, everybody. Good to see people back in the sanctuary. Good to see people on Zoom as well. Let's do some celebrating of Shabbat together. We're going to pick up with the words as we normally do. Hine matov umanayim. How good it is that we can all dwell together. Page 679 in your prayer books. If you're joining us virtually, if you go to our website, jcoh.org/live, or we'll post the link in the chat to our online prayer book as well. I speak too much. Is that true? No. No one told me that? Not to blame anybody.
Wait.
No, I'm going to try to be briefer on Friday nights in my
Let's be
remarks.
Fair. So the rabbi said the services are going too long. We have to cut some music. I said, well, we could cut some talking.
So let's do that. Without further ado,
and mind you, he's already cut the nigun that we were going to start with. So that's one cut already for this Shabbat.
Let's light our Shabbos candles as we bring in a little light together. Ivy, do you want to light our Shabbos candles? If you're joining us in our prayer books, we are on page 447.
Yeah, there should be matches there. Look under all the chalot.
Ooh, I see them. They're on the left side. No, wait. Ivy.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech. Shabbat Shalom, everyone, both near and afar. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kedishanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivani lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kedishanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik של Shabbat.
Shekoach, Ivy. You can get one a little later. We're going to have challah. For those joining us in person, we'll give you challah a little bit later. For those joining us virtually, let's bring your own challah. I don't think we figured out that technological problem of how to get you challahs each and every Shabbat. But let's bring a little shalom, a little bit of peace into our week this week as we wish each other not just Shabbat Shalom, but Shalom Aleichem, page 448.
Shalom Aleichem, Malachi Hasharet, Malachi Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachi HaMalachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem lishalom, malachi hashalom, malachi elyon. Mimelech, malachi hamalachim, hakadosh baruch hu. Bachuni lishalom, malachi hashalom, malachi elyon. Mimelech, malachi hamalachim, hakadosh baruch hu. Tzedechem lishalom, malachi hashalom, malachi elyon. Mimelech, malachi hamalachim, hakadosh baruch hu.
If you've been sitting in on my Prayers of Shabbat class, I'll plug forward that we only have one more week. You probably know that Shabbat is about profound and sacred relationships that exist, not just with each other, but actually with God and also with sacred time. So we have a lot of metaphors that we use. One of the most obvious ones is we call our Shabbat our Dodi, our beloved. One of the other things that we call Shabbat is our Yedid, which might translate as my friend, my buddy in modern Hebrew, but really our companion. With all these sacred, profound, spiritual, holy unions going on in Shabbat, let's lean into this one a little bit as we turn to page 109 for Yedid Nefesh.
Yedid nefesh av harachama, sorry. Yedid nefesh av harachaman, Yedid nefesh av harachaman, mishochav decha, el ritzoncha, mishochav decha.
116. I'm going to skip a little bit. You've got to cut things. I've got to cut things. Page 116, Zamru La Dodai from Psalm 98. Actually, it's not on page 116, is it?
Yes.
It is?
It's verses 5 through 10
That's what
of
it is.
Psalm 98.
צמרו לאדוני בכינור, בכינור בקול זמרה, בחצוצרות בקול שופר. הריעו לפני המלך אדוני, צמרו לאדוני בכינור, בכינור בקול זמרה, בחצוצרות בקול שופר.
Dodi 121.
לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה, נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה, נקבלה. שמור וזכור בדיבור אחד, השמיענו אל המיוחד. אדוני אחד ושמו אחד, לשם ולתפארת ולתחילה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה, נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה, נקבלה. לקראת שבת לכו ונלכה, היא מקור הברכה. מראש מקדם נסוכה, סוף מעשה במחשבה תחילה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה, נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה, נקבלה. התעוררי, התעוררי, כי בא אורך ומאורי. אורי, אורי שיר דברי, כבוד אדוני עלייך נגלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה, נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה, נקבלה.
I'll invite you to rise and face the entrance as we greet the Sabbath bride.
בואי בשלום עטרת בעלה, Shabbat Shalom umevorach. Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom umevorach.
To those mourners who are among us, as Kabbalat Shabbat is now coming to a conclusion, we wish you the sacred words. Hamakom Yenachem Etchem, B'toch Sha'ar Avlei Tzion v'Yerushalayim. May God comfort you among the mourners of Zion and Jerusalem. May you be comforted and may you comfort one another. For a moment, if you're still standing, you can have a seat because we're going to wish everybody a Shabbat Shalom. And it's nice that that actually takes a little bit of time to do so. Cantor, let's switch it up this week. I'll have you wish Shabbat Shalom to those in person, and I'll take the ones virtual.
Let's see. To Erwin and Rachel, and to Michael and Mitchell and Bobby and Corinne, and to Ivy and to David, Shabbat Shalom, and to our Rabbi, Shabbat Shalom.
And of course, to our Cantor, Shabbat Shalom. And let me go to the online list now for those joining us. To Al and Sheila, Shabbat Shalom. To Alan and Barbara and Steve, Shabbat Shalom. To Ben, good to see you, Shabbat Shalom. To Bill and Catherine, Emily and Fred, Glenda and Holly, Arlene and Jerry, Joan, and also to my mother Karen, my daughters Amelia and Lila, and my wife Stephanie, who are joining us virtually. Shabbat Shalom to you too. Shabbat Shalom to Kathy, and I still haven't figured out who Katz D 1973 is, but Shabbat Shalom to you as well. To Lenora, Shabbat Shalom, and to Linda, Shabbat Shalom, and whoever might join us afterwards. Did I get Joan? I think I got Joan. Whoever might join us afterwards, type in the chat, wish them a Shabbat Shalom, send them a direct message. We love to make sure that each and every person in our community feels seen and feels a sense of belonging to those around us. Before we rise for the Baruch Hu, just join me if you'd like in taking a big, deep Shabbos breath, trying to clear our minds of all the stresses and all the turbulence that is around us throughout the week. Breathe in the calm and the comfort. Breathe out whatever craziness just needs to be put aside, even but for a day. And as you open your eyes and come back to the room around you, when you're ready to do so, we'll invite you to rise for our call to worship, page 127. Be seated. Jerry, would you mind leading us in Ma'ariv Aravim, our prayer for evening's twilight? If we could unmute Jerry Gans and add him to the spotlight, that'd be great.
Amen.
Amen. In Koach. A Prayer for Love, page 129.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך, ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם להיות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך.
134.
למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם.
Emet, it is true. 135.
מי כמוך באלים, אדוני, מי כמוך נהדר בקודש, נורא תהילות עושה פלא, נורא תהילות עושה מלכותך ראו בניך בוקע ים לפני משה זה אלינו ויאמרו אדוני ימלוך אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד ונאמר כי פדה אדוני את יעקב וגאלו מיד חזק ממנו ברוך אתה אדוני גאל ישראל.
As we come to Hashkivenu on page 136, let me look out and see if there is a volunteer, someone who might want to read the Hebrew or the English for us. Any volunteers, either in person or virtually? That means it's me. Ivy, come on up.
But come to the microphone over here.
Yeah, you can read English, but we need you at the microphone so everyone can hear you.
A lot going on. Source of our life and our sovereign, cause us to lie down in peace and rise again to enjoy life. Spread over us the covering of your peace, guard us with your good counsel, and save us for the sake of your name. Be a shield about us, turning away every enemy, disease, violence, hunger, and sorrow. Remove the temptation that awaits us and the guilt that lies behind us. Shelter us in the shadow of your wings, for you are a God who guards and protects us, a ruler of mercy and compassion. Guard us when we go out and when we come in, to enjoy life and peace both now and forever, and spread over us the shelter of your peace. Blessed are you, God, spreading the shelter of peace over us, over your people of Israel, and over the world. Amen.
Amen.
ופרוס עלינו סוכת שלומך ופרוס עלינו סוכת שלומך ופרוס עלינו סוכת שלומך
We'll invite you to rise if you are able as we come to the Amidah on page 140. You could either use the words on the page as we pray independently, or if those words aren't working for you, or if your Hebrew is a little rusty and you just want to either look at the English or turn inwardly to the prayers of your heart, that is okay too. When we finished our personal prayers, we'll invite you to be seated and we'll join together in Ose Shalom. Sorry about that. I've got somewhat of a ridiculous story to tell. It's actually a story in two parts. For those of you who have ever traveled to Israel with me, you know all too well that whenever I go to Israel, I'm in the airport and I go to the passport line, I always get flagged and I always get interrogated. It happened for the first time maybe 15 years ago. I was going through the line and I got flagged and interrogated, and I thought, nothing of it. Until they had to do a strip search and they asked me all these questions, and I realized eventually, oh man, I'm actually being considered as a real suspect. I don't quite know why, but I'm in kind of a serious situation. And eventually I got fed up and I started talking Hebrew, and they realized, oh, this isn't the guy that we're looking for. And I thought, one-time occurrence, this isn't going to happen again. But next time I went to Israel, I got interrogated again, and I had to tell them in Hebrew, this isn't the first time that's happened, this is a mistake, it's not me you're looking for, yada, yada, yada. And they let me out in 20 minutes the next time. The first time it took over an hour. Go back to Israel again, same thing, over and over again, till the last time I went to Israel and I made it through the passport line. I said, oh, look, maybe they got it finally figured out. Until I decided to leave Israel that time, and then as I'm waiting on my line, they flag me, they pull me out of line, and they interrogate me. All of which to say, when you travel to Israel with me, you got to build in an extra couple minutes for me to be able to go through interrogation. And I know you're wondering the same question, which I've been wondering for a while. Why would they consider this young rabbi some kind of threat to Israeli national security? And I've been scratching my head about that question for years. Recently, I thought that I might have figured it out. And this leads me to story number 2 of something, true story, by the way, that happened in Israel. Probably not the exact reason why they interrogate me, but nonetheless, a funny story. And that is one morning when I was living in Israel back in 2007, I decided I'm going to make pancakes in the morning. I miss pancakes. I've been living in Israel for quite a while, and pancakes aren't a typical Israeli staple, so I'm going to make pancakes. Checked all my ingredients. I had flour, I had eggs, I had baking soda. I realized the one thing I didn't have in my kitchen, a spatula. Can't make pancakes without a spatula. So I was going to the shuk anyways, the market in Israel, and I went to the marketplace, and I realized I need to get a spatula, and I start thinking to myself, what's the Hebrew word for spatula? My Hebrew is pretty good, but I don't know, I just don't know the word for spatula. And I start thinking in my head, and I realize, nope, never learned this one. It's never been on a vocab test in my ulpan. But my Hebrew is pretty good, probably good enough where I can think of it in my head, be a little bit of a Ben Gurion for a second, and try to invent the word based on Hebrew grammar and Hebrew roots. So I think to myself, the root to flip things is hey, pei, chaf, hafach. And a tool in Hebrew, if I add that construct, I can kind of create the tool for flipping things. So I said, okay, it's mahapech. That's the word for a spatula. It's got to be the word, the tool that causes things to flip. And so I go around the market and saying, ani doresh mahapech. And I saw a lot of blank faces, and I realized that the word I was using was probably not the right word. What I didn't realize is that the word for a revolution in Hebrew, a mapecha, I was walking around saying, I'm looking for the revolution, I'm looking for the revolution. And that could possibly be why I get interrogated when I go to the airport. The Hebrew word for spatula, by the way, in Hebrew is marit. It's one of those words that has nothing to do with Hebrew grammar. It comes from the Aramaic. A marit in Aramaic in the Talmud is a spade. That just somehow got translated into spatula. So I know that word now. I taught you one word, and I actually taught you another word, mahapecha, which is a revolution, both words are relevant to the holiday of Purim that is coming up. Because when we read the Megillah, one of the important commandments or the important ideas and themes that we come across each and every Purim is the idea that on Purim, everything is nahafoch hu. Same word as mapecha, revolution, right? Nahafoch means everything is upside down. Everything on Purim is upside down, or the opposite of everything happened that was intended to happen. Haman intended to kill the Jews and put them on the gallows, and what happens instead is Haman and his family go on the gallows. Purim, you might say, is the ultimate marit, is the ultimate spatula. It flips everything upside down, but most importantly, it flips us upside down. Who we become is topsy-turvy, and that starts with personality. One of the traditions on Purim is that we're supposed to become so intoxicated that we're not supposed to know the difference between blessed is Mordecai and cursed is Haman. In other words, drink so much that we become our upside-down selves. And of course, we're supposed to dress up on Purim, but maybe that's not the right turn of phrase. On Yom Kippur, that major Jewish holiday, that's the day where we dress up, right? We wear our finest clothes. We try to be better versions of ourselves, elevated versions of ourselves. The rabbis, in fact, note that if you think of the way that Purim and Yom HaKippurim sound, it's very much a similar or almost exactly the same word. Because on Yom Kippur we dress up, we dress to be, on Purim, however, we dress to be the opposite of ourselves. The rabbis say that Purim is the only day of the year where you're permitted to cross-dress, where you're permitted to dress as the opposite sex, so you can actually be the opposite of yourselves. Purim transforms us into something that we are not, and now the question we have is why? You might simply say, it's fun to dress up. We should let loose every now and then. We should let our hair down. It's fun to be someone who we are not. And yes, Purim is to a large degree about having fun, but the rabbis, again, note the similarities not just in the name between Purim and Yom HaKippurim, both holidays they point out, teach us about who we really are. Purim and Yom HaKippurim, Yom Kippur, teach us about who we really are. When things in our lives get turned upside down, we discover a truer sense of what is really right side up. Ask anyone who's gone through an experience in their lives when the world seemed to have been flipped or the carpet pulled out from under them, everything got turned upside down, and the story will most likely end with a moment of self-discovery. That is, through that crisis, through that world getting turned upside down, I discovered who I really was. The Talmud tells a very similar story, by the way. Tells the story of Rabbi Yosef, who becomes critically ill and goes into a coma. Miraculously, he wakes up and makes a full recovery. His father asks him, "What did you see when you were unconscious? What did you see when you were unconscious?" He says, "I saw the world olam hafuch. I saw the world upside down." And his father says, No. You didn't see the world olam hafuch, upside down. You saw the world olam barur. You actually saw the world clearly. That is, when things in our lives get turned upside down, we're often given a perspective that we'd never had before, and a perspective that enables us to discover who it is that we really are. Purim's coming, everybody. It's right around the corner next week. I want to encourage you to use this holiday as a spatula for flipping your life upside down. Not supposed to be comfortable, by the way, to flip your life upside down, though it might be a little fun. Be someone who you are not, even just for but a day. Purim might seem like a kid's holiday, but it isn't. No one is too grown up for Purim. We could all use a little nahafochu. We can all use a little bit of life upside down, at least one day a year. Shabbat shalom, everybody. Let me use this moment now just to announce things that are coming up for Purim. Wednesday, March 16th at 6 p.m., we are having a hybrid Megillah reading here in the sanctuary. The theme is Hey Jews. It's a Purim-themed Megillah reading. And
A
if you're
Beatles
interested
themed.
in participating, do we have any more musical spots?
It's a Beatles themed.
What did I say?
Purim.
Beatles theme. Yeah, it's a Beatles theme, excuse me. Beatles themed Purim Megillah reading. And do you have any more spots available for people who want to volunteer to sing a song?
Not unless you give up your spot.
Well, if you really want me to give up my spot,
I
would
gave
be
up mine
happy
already,
to do
so I'm just saying. I sent him an email.
And also on Sunday, September 20th. Sunday, March 20th, we have ventriloquist Jonathan Geffner coming in for a program called Purim for Dummies. That is Sunday. You also get to hear our religious school kids do some Purim performances. That's at 10:30 a.m. Sunday, March 20th. Let's pick up with Aleinu in our prayer books, page 310. We'll invite you to rise if you are able.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצא בראשית, אשר בחר בנו מכל העמים, ונתן לנו את תורתו, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים, לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו
You can be seated. Our thoughts now turn to those who are no longer with us, but whose lives still shine ever brightly in our lives. As we read the names of members of our community for whom we are in a period of mourning, if we read the name of your loved one and you're with us, we'll invite you to rise in your place so that we could acknowledge you as mourners. If there's a name that we don't read, of course, we'll invite you to rise and share that name afterwards. If you're joining us virtually, we do want to acknowledge you as mourners as well. There is a reactions button at the bottom of your screen. It looks like a smiley face with a plus. You would raise your hand when you hear the name of a loved one. That way we can acknowledge you as mourners as well. And of course, if there's a name that you'd like to add, a name that's not read, simply type that name into the chat and we'd be happy to read it. In the period of Shloshim, we remember Frieda Meisler and David Semt. In the year of mourning, Maria Purpura, Rita Katz, John Harrison, Irving Markowitz, Estella Gass, Sharon Epstein, Jared Geldner, Sari Faith Brownstein, Boris Rubenstein, Reuben Cohen, Myrna Klein, Sina Benedek, Emily Levin, Rochelle Grossinger, Marilyn Glosserman, Francis Magan, Isabel Barnett, Sydney Silverman, Joan Tager, Joanna Rose, Edward G. Shufro, M. Gerald Cohen, Hal Etkin, Ellen Frank, Alan White, Evelyn Myron, Marvin Boris, Joanne Weeder, Peter Weinstein, Warren Davis, Robert Kay, and Susan Berkman. It's the art sites this week of Abraham Appel, Elliot Lazar, Adoro Picone, Erwin E. Cyrus, Susan Bodner, Pablito Valador, Sidney B. Cohen, Rivka May Sukdolski, Beatrice Jaffe, Pauline Shafran, Tom Mola, Ethel Selly Sanger, Tzvi Johanna Fox, Sarah Geula, Victor Goldstein, and Rita Margaritan. Are there any other names that you'd like to add?
I just want to correct one because I know that they're in the virtual congregation. It's Susan Bodner Atkins, yard site.
Did I read that incorrectly? My apologies. My apologies.
Our parents, brothers, sisters, children, aunts, uncles, nieces, nephews from afar right now.
And if there are any other names and you want to type them into the chat, we'll invite you to do so now. Kaddish is on page 316. As a community in support of our mourners, we'll invite you to rise to join our mourners. Also, David Minat. Yitgadal v'yitgadash shemei Rabbah, ba'alma divrach hirutei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayechon u'vyomechon u'v'chayei dechol Beit Yisrael, ba'gala u'bizman kari v'imru, Amen. Yehi shemei Rabbah mevorach le'olam u'lamei olmaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitale v'yitalal shemei dukusha b'richu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, da'amiran v'alma v'imru, Amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chaim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru, Amen. Oseh shalom b'romav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru,
Amen.
Amen. Zichronam livracha, may their memories forever be a blessing. You can be seated. A couple more brief announcements in addition to our forum announcements. We are still collecting donations for relief of those in Ukraine and the refugees who are on their way to Poland. The list that we have that we need for donations has been updated. Clothing is no longer needed of any kind, but there are very specific things on the list that they still do need. Please take a look at our website to get the updated list. We do want to be as supportive as possible. And do we have a deadline for when we're driving stuff over?
I'm hoping to bring it all up the beginning of next week.
Okay, so if this weekend you can make sure to get all of your donations in. We also did suggest several organizations that we recommend for monetary donations if you'd like to make monetary donations to support the relief effort for Ukraine as well. Passover also around the corner. Keep on the lookout for our invitation to our second night Seder, which will go out shortly, just to give you a little bit of a heads up. And one more class of the prayers of Shabbat coming up this week. We'll actually be looking at Mourner's Kaddish, to get actually Kaddish as a whole together. And am I missing anything, Cantor?
Well, we are going to have our book club this Thursday. It's called the Book of V. Hope you join us.
And this evening, I think we're going to conclude with Kiddush and Motzi. Or, oh, you want to do Lo Yisagoi?
Lo Yisagoi.
So let's do Lo Yisagoi, and then we'll conclude with Kiddush and Motzi.
Okay. Do you want to read your prayer? Or?
I think we'll read that during the Torah service tomorrow.
Okay. Lo Yisagoi el goi cherev, lo yilmedu od milchama. Lo Yisagoi el goi cherev, lo yilmedu od milchama. Lo Yisagoi el goi cherev, lo yilmedu od milchama. Lo Yisagoi el goi cherev, v'lo yilmedu od milchama. Lo Yisagoi el goi cherev, lo yilmedu od milchama. Lo Yisagoi el goi cherev, lo yilmedu od milchama. Nation shall not lift up sword against nation, nor ever again shall they train for war. Lo Yisagoi el goi cherev, lo yilmedu od milchama. Lo Yisagoi el goi cherev, lo yilmedu od milchama. Lo Yisagoi el goi cherev, lo yilmedu od milchama.
Nation shall not lift up sword against nation, nor shall they learn war anymore. From Isaiah. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kedushanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu, V'Shabbat kodsho b'ahava uvratzonin chilanu. Zikaron lema'aseh v'reshit. Ki hu yom techila lemikra kodesh. Zecher l'tziat Mitzrayim.
Kivanu v'acharta, v'otanu kidashta, mikol ha'amim, v'shabbat kodshecha, be'ahava uvratzon, hinchaltanu.
Baruch atah Adonai, Mekadesh HaShabbat. L'chaim, everybody.
L'chaim tovim u'l'shalom.
And now, if everyone wants to grab their own individual challah, we'll do motzi together. Come on up. Andrew, do you want one?
Thank you.
Yep. She did. Rachel, do you want one too? Oh, nice one. Join me, everybody. Baruch atah Adonai, Elohim melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen.
Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat, 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 Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat, 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 Shabbat shalom, Shabbat, 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 Shabbat shalom, Shabbat, 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 Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat, 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 Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom, everybody.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom. It's nice to be back. Doesn't it feel good? Yeah. But is it just a reprieve, like we were just saying? Oh, that's yeah. But if you notice, I don't get into any controversy. Even though I post, I post the hikes. I don't discuss anything else. Because it gets
Trying to figure out this rabbinic delegation is going debate among rabbis as to whether this is a good idea. Going to raise awareness, bring supplies over there, and serve as fiscal counselors for those refugees in need. And there's other rabbis who are like, you don't speak the language. What are you going to do over there? You're going to get in the way. You're going to be taking the dead.
Are there any organizations where Jews volunteer to go to Ukraine to help them?
If you have a special skill, you can find you the organizations. Like you should cook, you should get involved with that. It's called something World Kitchen.
Yeah, Chef Andreas,
Yeah.
very nice guy.
Yeah, so you
No,
can
but I'd like
join.
to go to Ukraine to help out with the war effort.
Oh, that I can't tell you how to do that. You want to hold a gun, you mean?
Yeah, go and help them fight.
You know how to hold a gun?
No,
So then you're not going to help.
they
You're
can
not going
teach
to be
me.
helpful.
What? But they don't they teach citizens stuff?
Well, yeah.
But they wouldn't teach foreigners.
Well, we have one from Stanford that's there right now.
Really? Did he volunteer? How old is he?
There's an organization I can find it. I worked for them when I was a kid, and when I was younger in college.
door is closed. That's,
Did we leave it on open?
yeah, because it's only open for inside.
But did we make a mistake last time?
Well,
Did we leave it open? No, did we leave it open?
oh,
No.
you know what? Go for the lobby. This door closes automatically.
The front door?
The front door, yeah, the lobby.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Okay.
But I was asking, did we leave it open once before?
Yeah, you just go
Oh,
on.
we did